What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the show. So glad that you're here on this beautiful Friday. I'm Jeremy Miller.
I'm Dallas Terrell.
And we are the Betterment Bros. All right, everybody, welcome back to the program on this beautiful day. Dallas and I are here in the studio ready to bring you guys some fire on this beautiful Friday here.
Yes, that's what we're here to do.
And per tradition, boy, we've been having kind of a rough go on the intros lately.
Yeah, but it's okay, dude.
Yeah.
It's totally fine.
Yeah, we're good, dude.
Nobody's perfect, dude.
Narrative, sit over there. I'm doing a show, goddammit.
God damn it.
That being said, Dal, we're talking 2-minute takeaways. We're talking gratitude. What do you got, Mom?
What don't I got, bro?
Ooh, I like that.
There's a lot of things.
Yeah, I was just thinking, I ran through a list really quick.
I immediately was like, yeah, there's so many things.
Yeah.
But as far as things to be grateful for,
Yep.
let's see here, Jeremy. Well, I think my 2-minute takeaway for the week is it's gotta be competing in the Granite Games again, dude.
Again, meaning a new competition there. Yep.
Yeah, this one was like a winter throwdown. They have a throwdown every 3 months, like a quarterly throwdown.
Mm-hmm.
So it's cool this time because we had a tent, like a pop-up tent. Mm-hmm. Felt legit. Had a bunch of good snacks.
Do the other teams have pop-up tents?
Not all of them,
but a couple?
I did see a couple teams with pop-up tents.
Mm-hmm.
They just weren't like as cool or as nice.
Well, that I would assume.
So it was nice to have a super epic pop-up tent. It was nice to have. It was like, dude, we went into it the first time with like a cooler and one chair,
right?
And it was 100 degrees, and we ran out of water. Like that's how it went the first time.
Yeah,
we still had a good time.
Yeah.
But so this time we tied for 4th place, so we almost made the podium, which is cool because me and my buddies are far less fit than the people that did make the podium. And dude, we've been only doing this shit for like 2 years, like not even 2 years. So
yeah, not even 2 years.
Not even two. Like this March will be like 2 years of like doing CrossFit like on the regular, And I think the big takeaway from it is knowing that like all of the practice, all the hard work, all the time that, I mean, I can only speak for myself, but that I spend training to get better, like it's tangibly showing, like last time we got 7th, this time we were 6 reps away from being on the podium with dudes that only do this. Like that's all they do is compete and exercise and train and fucking eat right. I mean, dude, I had Taco Bell the night before the competition, dude. Yeah. Like we were thinking about making our team name like Team Nicotine, like using nicotine still and like all this dumb shit.
Yeah,
so,
you're unconventional CrossFit
very
athletes.
unconventional, dude, but it's like these guys may be less tired after the workout than I am. But like I fucking gave it 130%, and I'll do that every time. And that's what makes you a fucking winner and a champion, dude.
There it is, man.
And that's my takeaway. It's like I'm willing to die out there.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys. I hope you guys are.
Yeah.
Because I am.
And that's what we're talking about today.
And that's dude. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
The mic's hot.
The mic is hot, dude.
We just need to turn it the fuck on.
That's it. God, great takeaway, dude. Man,
that's my takeaway.
That fired me up.
Just organic takeaway, dude. I'm ready to fucking die for a victory.
Yeah, for a win, dude.
For a great exercise time.
Oh, I love it, man.
Yeah. So what do you got, Mill? What's going on in the world of Jeremisa?
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. So my takeaway this week would be that boy, I'm trying to decide which one to go with.
Double up, man. Fuck it.
I've got one that's on theme with today's topic.
Perfect.
So for those who don't know me, I love Christmas. Okay, I love Christmas, everything about it. And the last couple of Christmases before I got sober and everything, they weren't the best. And so when I came out to California, my first Christmas was kind of
strange.
It was fucked up because it was hot out, right? It was like super hot. I didn't have
No
a tree.
white Christmas.
Like there's no snow on the ground. Like I didn't have gifts. I didn't have money. I didn't have a tree. I didn't have light. I had nothing, dude. And so that year I was like, dude, every year I'm blowing it out for Christmas, dude. Like I'll go 130. I'll die for that Christmas win. You know
Nice.
what I mean? And so every year I go all out for Christmas, right? And this year, you know, Thanksgiving was so late in November.
It's weird.
Yeah, it was super weird. And then like I had a bunch of family stuff going on. And like, anyways, so I was like super late to the Christmas party. And I'm like, damn, dude, it's like, it's already like a week of December's gone. I don't have a tree in my living room. I don't have my lights up, dude. I don't have my Santa hat out. Like,
what am I doing?
yeah. And I legitimately felt like I fucked up. And I don't feel like that very often, you know, because I run a tight ship for the most part. But like, I felt like, dude, I fucked up. I like ruined this whole year because I didn't do my Christmas shit, you know? And so.
Damn. You snap it in? Does the
I
story
snapped it
come
in,
back?
dude. I snapped it in.
God, it's a Christmas story.
Yeah, dude, it's a Christmas miracle, dude. So the other night I put all my lights up and I took it a step further, dude, and I rigged them all up to my Alexa.
Oh, wow.
And then I named the group of like outlets and light strands and all this stuff. I named the group of devices Christmas. So now I walk into my house and I go, Alexa, turn on Christmas. And my whole fucking joint lights up, dude. Boom, Christmas. The only thing that doesn't happen is it doesn't cue up music, but I'm still working on that, dude.
Gotcha. That was going to be my next ask. Is
Yeah.
like,
I wanted to.
I really want to poll the audience
Yep.
about like what's your favorite Christmas song and what's your favorite Christmas movie.
Oh, dude, we're pulling that on the gram.
Yeah, and any Christmas song I already hate.
Yeah.
And my favorite Christmas movie, it has to be Die Hard.
Oh, of course. That's definitely on my top 5 Christmas movies.
So
yeah.
Just answer,
And
correctly.
you know what? I'm going to just put it out there to the audience right this second.
Yeah.
Die Hard is 110% a fucking Christmas movie.
Dude, want to hear another takeaway?
Yeah.
I was at Starbucks on Sunday. And they had this little chalkboard, but it wasn't a chalkboard. It was a board, and they had sticky notes next to the half and half and the
yeah.
creamer.
Yeah, I've seen that.
And it was like, what's your favorite Christmas tradition?
Yeah.
And I wrote on a sticky note, Die Hard is a Christmas movie. And
Boom.
I put it on at the
You're
Capitol.
the hero. And
Yeah.
you know that at least 70% of the people getting creamer that day looked at that and they were like, damn, that guy's right.
Yeah, they're like, damn right it is.
Yeah, I'm going to go watch Die Hard.
Yeah.
John McClane, dude.
Yeah. Also on Netflix, dude, they have a show called The Movies That Made Us. And
I
it
haven't
goes
watched it
all
yet.
into Die Hard, Home Alone,
Yeah.
Dirty Dancing.
Yeah,
It's
dude.
pretty sick, dude.
Yeah, I saw that.
You gotta check it out.
I was going to watch it, but it was late, dude, and I knew it'd keep me up, you know?
Keep you up.
Yeah.
Good call. Good call.
So those are the takeaways. Now,
Total takeaways.
also a good segue, I think, to the topic tonight, which is, audience, how to turn difficulties into opportunities. Ooh, yeah. So, as you guys know, here on the show, the Betterment Bros, our slogan is reframe, regain, because we fully believe in the power of perspective. And if you can just make a little shift in how you view something, it can change your life.
Absolutely.
You could regain control from a simple little reframe of the mind, you know?
We'll start talking about how to do that,
Yeah, and that's where we're at.
which I think we kind of always do, but
Yeah.
we'll kind of hone it in a little bit
Yeah,
tonight.
we'll hone in on it a little bit tonight.
I'm down, dude.
So I think the way I'd like to kind of open this is a little bit of an example.
Perfect.
Okay, so, we all have jobs, right? Well,
Hopefully.
okay, maybe that's not a good way to start, but you can imagine, we all got jobs, right? All right, let's just
Everyone is listening has a job.
yeah, in some
Or is
capacity.
working towards
Right.
getting one.
Now, we all got shit we don't want to do, right? Now, I know sometimes going to big networking events or like having to, do certain aspects of my job can be a little daunting, and sometimes you're like, ugh, and so I'll reframe it, right, to be, try and craft it more into an opportunity, right? And, so I think part of the process of that reframe is one of my philosophies that I'd like to crack into a little bit.
I'm all for it.
All right, so a lot of times, and we've riffed on this before on the show about how I don't necessarily believe that there are good and bad emotions.
Or good or bad days.
Or good or bad days. That's right. And honestly, I've found, especially recently, myself veering away from good and bad altogether because I kind of realized that polarizing perspective, right? A black and white, yes, no, good, bad, right? It limits a lot of my potential, right? It limits my ability to really connect and, and tap into like my true essential self, right? And so, for example, right, like people say like, I hate anxiety. It's such a bad emotion, right? Or sadness. It's bad to be sad. It's bad to be angry.
Bad to be stressed.
Yeah, but
Bad to be, yeah.
right. But like we all get anxiety, right? We all get sad, right? Why is that a bad thing,
Yeah.
And so that's a little bit of that philosophy, right? And so when I look at experience like that, experiences in the world, I've personally been trying really hard to not look at an experience as a bad experience or a good experience. I will look at it as pleasant or less pleasant. There's things I enjoy much more than other things. That's innate, right? But when I reframe a situation that is less pleasant, and I look at it instead of like, this is bad or this sucks or like, this is not good. And I reframe that to, this is just, all it is a little less than pleasant. But how can I look at this experience and find an opportunity, right? When I do that, it makes, what I would usually generalize as a shitty experience, it forces me to find some sort of takeaway and some sort of growth. And then when I'm in the experience, and especially after that experience, that reframe, all of a sudden, I'm walking away with a W, not an L.
I like that.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, of course.
So like, for example, like I remember I had to exhibit, like have a big booth and all this stuff for our program at this conference in LA. And me and friend of the show, Max Capper, we drove down to LA, dude. It was like 6.5 hour drive.
That is a trek.
Yeah, and like, we left hella early, and then we have to like carry the booth. It's like 300 pounds, and it takes like 4 hours to set up, dude. It's a fucked up
full
day,
thing.
dude.
It's a full thing.
And I remember like afterwards being like, damn, dude, I'm so defeated. That sucked. That was so shitty,
Just honing in on the negative about all of it. Yeah.
Oh, big time, dude. And but then I looked around and there's 150 other exhibitors, right? And they're all doing the same thing. And they were all bubbly and bright, like, hey, Jeremy, how you doing? And I'm sitting over here like, how the fuck do you think I'm doing? I just had to cart this booth and blah, 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 And so I remember the next time we exhibited, right, I found myself kind of snapping into that same mind state of like, dude, this is so shitty. This sucks, blah, blah, blah. This narrative, like, poor me,
Yeah.
And instead I looked at it like, okay, how can I really push myself as a professional and as like just a being, right? And I wonder what I could grow from with this, right? And what I proved to myself was that even after 6 hours of driving, the second time it wasn't that long, but still a long drive, setting it all up and everything, and then I finally put on my blazer, I was ready to rock and roll. All
Showtime.
Because I shifted the experience, the mind state more to, how can I grow from this? Like, what's the opportunity for growth in this? And the opportunity in that example was simply like, I now proved to myself that I can endure what was seemingly a lot easier now, And I think that just viewing it as potential for growth made it an opportunity instead of, something super shitty that I'd be negative about,
Something you didn't have to be disappointed about.
Yeah, it was like this huge difficult thing that I made it into an opportunity, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think like an action item or a practical takeaway is simply like, gently inviting yourself to shift away from the good and the bad and more towards maybe there's an opportunity here, because there always is one.
Yeah.
And I'd be willing to play devil's advocate on that. It's like, and really challenge people to shift more towards that. But I think like all things we talk about on the show, it is a practice. It's not something that you just snap in and then you're like that forever. I mean, I fade in and out of this every day, dude.
Oh, absolutely. All day, every day.
Yeah, but I think
you spend more time trying to recreate that attitude of like looking for growth.
Exactly.
Than just like,
then just giving
this
up.
is shitty. This sucks.
Yeah.
Labeling.
Exactly.
Yeah. Wow.
And so I think like, for the audience, like we all know you guys go through like difficult things just like we do.
These are common stuff.
Yeah. And like, what's the opportunity there? And so I think like being able to shift difficulty into opportunity is really nothing more than just being willing to expand your mind beyond the good, bad paradigm.
Mm-hmm. I love that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think if I was to sum that up, or right, because like I do this thing where when you talk, I feel like the audience, so I hear like the takeaway from what you're saying.
Yeah.
And then
make it palpable, dude.
Right. So I think the first thing that I heard that you said, right, is changing the language.
Big time.
And I think that's huge, because good, it just means so many things. Bad means so many things. And it's very like bland. It's like, oh, that was good. Or like, how are you doing? I'm doing good. Or I'm doing bad. It's like very bland. And it can mean so many different things to so many different people. But if you change it to like pleasant, unpleasant, it could represent something different.
Yeah.
And that different representation maybe could allow you to cultivate what I also heard you saying is like curiosity, right? Where it's like, how, like if and you hear TJ talk about it all the time, right? Where it's like, if you can become curious about something, it's almost this like, it creates almost this very like intrigued, like openness, like this, like almost like general, like baseline of like being receptive to whatever's there, good or bad. And I think that's huge. And it almost like, so like when you're talking, I'm like translating it into something that I understand, which is like, dude, you're just becoming curious about what those opportunities could be.
Exactly.
Regardless of if the situation was difficult or not. Because if something is difficult, it doesn't qualify it as shitty.
No, totally.
A lot of the things that we do every day are very difficult, but they're the most rewarding. And like, why is that? And if you can become curious about why that is, there's so much to learn.
Yeah.
From that experience or from that perspective, like you were saying.
Exactly.
So that was kind of like, I wanted to say that because that's what I heard and that's how I interpreted it. So maybe that helps, some of the audience. Like,
for
dude,
sure.
Change the language, change the perspective, get curious about these events.
Yeah.
An example I was thinking of is like, there's times where I've come home and I'm like, God damn, like I feel good about today. And they're like, why? I'm like, I got shit on all day and smiled, right? Instead of just coming home and being like, yeah, man, I just got shit on today. Like it was bad. It's like, no, like, yeah, it was bad. Like it wasn't like optimum that, I got shit on all day by every pigeon I saw or whatever.
Yeah.
But my perspective of being curious is like, kind of like you said, like, I can be excited that my threshold of getting through things got bigger.
Yeah.
Or
that's
like
well
I
said.
navigated this a lot better today.
I love that. Yeah.
Like instead of it being shitty that I had to navigate it, it was good that I did a decent job.
Right.
Or a better job than I did yesterday.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of something there too.
That's a really good way of putting it. Like, because like we all have different thresholds.
Absolutely.
And we've
that
talked
varies
about,
day to day.
Yeah. Oh, dude.
There's not like a
minute.
standard threshold.
No. Yeah. No. And I think it's good to draw attention to the fact that like if something bugs you, it's okay. It's 100% okay to be bothered because all our thresholds are different, And I think like, unfortunately, like, especially in the space of self-help and personal development and betterment, like all the shit that we're trying to do, like, unfortunately in this space, it's kind of become this cultural norm to where it's like, almost like this passive perspective where like, we don't want to offend anybody. And like, if it offends you, just leave. And like, nobody should be subjected to, harsh language and the realities of the world. And like,
Yeah, I'm getting upset just listening to you right now.
Yeah. Like culturally, that's like, and I think like, and when you're scrolling the gram and it's like, love yourself no matter what. And like, and I agree with all those sentiments somewhat.
Right.
But like, also, I don't want, what I try not to do in my life with my personal development and my growth is, look at myself in the mirror and say, like, everything's great. Like, I try not to like bypass the fact that I do have ups and downs, especially being in like the role that we are in the field that we're in. It's like, it doesn't make us impervious. And so I try really hard, like, like, love yourself no matter what. Yeah, I agree. But also, like, don't use that as a bypass to justify continual bad behavior. Right. And like, almost like excuse yourself.
Totally.
And so, like, one of the things I know for me, and I don't know if people at home could resonate with this, but like, for me, I'll look at a difficult situation that I kind of like threw the towel in on.
Yeah.
Or like I chalked it up as a bad day, or I said like, oh, that was really hard because of XYZ, and that's why I didn't have a win from it, right? And I'll accept the loss because it was difficult. And I think that like accepting the loss has become culturally normal, where it's like, oh, it's not about winning, it's about showing up. And I don't really buy that. It's
That's
like,
good.
No, like if it's hard, right? Like you can still walk away with a W. And that is exactly what the topic is. This episode is like, how do you take difficult and turn it into opportunity? It's by not surrendering it or chalking it up as a loss. It's walking away with the W.
I just thought of a sick title for the show.
Okay, hit me.
Turning difficulties into dubs.
Oh, dude, I like that.
That's catchy.
Yeah, dude, that's catchy.
I just thought of that right now.
See? We're out here catching those dubs,
Catching dubs, dude.
Yeah. But that's really like, that's it. It's like you can chalk up something tough and say, well, I lost that one, but like, whatever. Or you can say, okay, what'd I learn?
Yeah.
If you grow from it, you win. If you bring, awareness to it, if you bring, like you said, a curiosity to it, if you say, let me really look at this and try and understand it more and see, like, is there another way I could look at this? And you're just generally curious, it's going to be a lot easier to grow from it and take that win.
Yeah.
Than just kind of like, oh, well, fuck that. I mean, it just sucked. It was hard. It sucked. And that's that. I got nothing out of it,
Yeah, absolutely.
And dude, for so long, that's what I did. Every little tough thing that came in front of me, like, it was like, well, what are you going to do? Like, I fucked it up, or like, it was really hard and that sucked, and I would be like, have this like defeatist attitude
Like
about it.
Apathetic about it.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's brutal.
Yeah. And that's not winning, And so I think like, I think that's a really good way to put it. Like, with the threshold, but I think like the real victory is in that curiosity and trying to find
That,
the
like,
takeaway.
adaptation from it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, that's really cool. And I think, a couple things that stand out for me from like kind of this topic is like the first thing, like I always try to put myself in the audience's shoe where like I know how I feel when someone's like, yeah, dude, like if you want to get healthy, just go to the gym like 5 times a week. And then if you do that, it will work. And it's like, they clearly struggle to show up at the gym. So just saying like, hey, if you go, you will lose weight. Like that's not actually very productive because it's very blatantly obvious that that's what you should be doing.
Right. Of course.
So I try to think like, fuck, like, are we being those people? Like, are we saying like, hey, like, like if you're having a bad day, turn it into a fucking pattern of growth.
Yeah.
Like you heard it here first.
Yeah.
BettermentBrosRadio.com.
Right.
Yeah,
if you feel like you're having a bad day, just
You're
look at
not.
it like a good day.
Yeah, like just turn it bad to good.
Yeah.
So like the thing you know, I put myself in their shoes, and I put myself in my shoes 5, 6, 7 years ago, where this was like an unknown type of phenomena to me, where it's like, okay, like I know myself pretty well. And I know that if I have a bad day, I'm going to fucking fester and sit there until I feel good and ready, you know? So I think a big component is, if you struggle with this, if this is something that you do and you ruminate on all these, like, you know, the bad day phenomena type of thing, or like the bad moment, like experience, and like you struggle to find the growth in the difficulty, give it some time, right? Write it down in a journal, document your day, journal your day, give it some time to have whatever happens, whatever you normally do or whatever you ritualistically do. Let that pass, but then come back to it. Like, then circle back and see, where could I have done better? Where could I have grown? What did I do? Then become curious. If you know you're like that. Like, you know, with me, right? When I get pissed off, it's going to take some time before like rationality can seep in, no matter what. Like, that is how I am.
Yep.
So, and you've known me for fucking ever.
Yeah.
So you know that to be true. If I got pissed off, you'd be like, all right, dude, like, it's all good. Calm down.
Yeah.
Like, let's talk tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then we look into it and we
Right.
make all the changes and adaptations and tweaks, and it works itself out.
Yep.
So like, my main point is, if the audience knows that they are like that, create a ritual or a habit to where you can circle back.
Yeah.
Instead of just saying like, I'm not like that.
Right.
Or like, I get too caught up to make adjustments.
Yep.
Let it pass. Become curious later on down the road. Circle back to it, and don't ignore those adjustments you should have made.
Right.
So that was kind of like my big, like almost like, I'm always kind of like the prerequisite guy.
Yeah,
you know?
no,
like,
I like
if you
that.
can't do this,
Yeah.
let's start here.
Yeah, no,
You
and
know?
I like that. It's a really good point, because, like, you know, sometimes I have to remind myself that
We're veterans.
yeah, and like we talk about this shit all day.
So it seems like it's
like
just A to
second
B.
nature, you know. But you brought up an example for me where, like, there are certain situations where I get very impatient and it turns into anger, and I'll react to certain types of communication. I'm being vague, but like, to give an example, right? Like, you know, if someone at work like calls me and they're like, and they've got like this huge problem, right? Sometimes I'm automatically like, even if they're in pain, I find myself like frustrated or like
Annoyed.
you know, yeah, like I'm just like, like what, you know?
Like, you're
And
being bothered.
yeah, like,
Yeah.
and and I think the underlying emotion is like, you know, concern, but also like something that TJ Woodward talks about a lot is like, because I am who I am, I try to fix, right? And
Absolutely.
that kind of goes back to our like holding space stuff, but like, I'll try to fix. I want to fix the problem. And so trying to fix that depletes a lot of my compassion tank, right? Really quickly. And so,
Because you like bypass what's happening.
exactly, I skip the emotions and I go straight to the solution.
Right.
Because I'm like, hey, I know that sucks, but like, here's what you can do.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But sometimes people need that window of experience, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's a really good thing to bring awareness to. And it totally ties in because, you know, that's a difficult situation for me. Like, I was in it today where I got a phone call. There was some shit going down. I felt myself like getting impatient. And I said, okay, dude, like, it was brought to your attention that sometimes you don't react to these things very well. So let's fucking just not talk for a second.
Right.
Don't react. Just fucking listen. Just wait, you know? And in that pause, I said, okay, like, you can do better this time. So fucking do better. Right. And in that little space, in that little window that I bought myself, I reminded myself, like, dude, you know that usually you don't do super well with this. It's a difficult situation. Right. Let's try and fucking go about it in a better way this time.
Yeah.
And I did. Not like drastically better, but enough to where I showed
some
myself
progress.
that And I walked away from that conversation with a win, dude.
With the dub.
And I know now next time when it comes up, I'll take that moment and I could probably come back with an even better response.
Yeah.
Right. And you touched on it so well that all of it starts with gentle awareness, right? It's just noticing these things that happen in your mind. So like when we say like reframe and regain, right? That is like very kind of like broad, like, yeah, just fucking reframe, dude, and then everything's great. Yeah, like,
but these are the reframes that we speak to.
This is the how-to, right? It's like, it's just awareness. Just notice what you do. Notice the thoughts and the feelings, where you feel them, what you're thinking, and just notice. And sometimes that's all you have to do. And even if you still feel like, man, that sucked, and man, that's difficult, and yeah, it's bad, Jeremy, like, it is a bad emotion, motherfucker,
Yeah.
Even if that's where you're at, but you're aware of it, you can walk away with a W, right? For me, taking the loss is when you're just coasting through, habitually doing the same exact things, knowing that you want that to change, but not doing anything to change it. That's where the L's come from, is when it's just difficult, and you
like
chalk
the
it up.
acceptance of it.
Yeah.
You just accept that this is how it is.
Exactly.
Which yeah, man, that's
Yeah.
painted perfectly.
Yeah. So I think that's like that's a good way to reframe,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I like that. I mean, I like that is our slogan, reframe to regain, because that's what we speak to almost all the time.
Almost every app, dude.
It's like, how can you reframe a situation to regain control
Right.
of yourself?
Yeah, exactly.
And I feel like that question or that statement just is applicable to every episode, every email, every topic, every situation, because
Right.
there's a way to take things. And then which way are you taking it to serve you, And that kind of just trickles back into the curiosity part of being aware to fucking see that. So I think that's huge too, dude.
Yeah.
Can you think of anything else in regards to maybe a takeaway or maybe a point that we're missing on changing difficulty into opportunity?
I think just to kind of like sum it up.
Yeah.
I think like the real kick is just knowing, like I think it all starts with just a confident knowingness that anything that's difficult in your life can be seen as an opportunity. You have the ability to reframe a difficult situation into an opportunity for growth, for betterment, right? And even just fundamentally knowing that puts you ahead of the game.
Absolutely.
Right. If I know that, and it's hard, you guys, when you're in the thick of it, when you're in the weeds, excuse me, it can be so hard to be like, oh man, but I could grow from this, right? But like for me, that sentence helps me.
Yeah.
Like I'll tell myself like, dude, this sucks, but I could grow from it. I can grow from it. How can I grow from it? Right. And just that mantra almost, I'll tell myself that. And then if I choose not to, I disappoint myself, right? And I don't like disappointing myself.
Yeah, that sucks. Done that enough.
And I'll walk away from it and say, dude, I didn't do it that time. Next time. I'm going to do it next time.
Yeah, I like that.
I'll be aware of it. I'm going to try, and I can grow from it. I can grow from it. And I just tell myself that. And the more I do, the easier it gets.
I like that. I think the last thing that I would probably say, and maybe it's just kind of languaging everything we've already been saying in a different way, but
Fire it.
It's like the comfort zone.
Yeah.
It's flat out. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
If you are always comfortable doing the things that you do, you'll never grow. If you never step outside to see the air or see the clouds or see the rain because you're afraid, or you don't ever do anything different, you'll never learn anything different. You'll never experience anything different. And hence you'll never grow or change or adapt, which, Tony Robbins always says, like his TED talk on like the 6 human needs. One of the most important needs as a human being is to grow, right? We grow individually so that we can give back to other people.
Right.
So what it means to me is if we're constantly in the comfort zone, if we're constantly looking at these difficulties as just difficulties and not as the opportunity, we miss out on all the opportunity to grow.
Exactly.
And then circle back and teach and give back to others. And we're missing out on like a third of essentially the 6 human needs of life. And I really like that TED Talk, by the way.
It's
it's like
TED
the
Talk.
most #1 watched TED Talk, and
Yeah.
it's reframing
epic.
to regain too.
Yeah.
But like in Tony Robbins' version, which is like on steroids, you know. Everyone needs to do this. How are you doing it? Is it positive or negative? And if it's negative, what are you going to start doing to get those things positively?
Right.
Which is sick.
Super sick.
Yeah. So that was kind of my thing, you know, is like, what can you do to like make the discomfort zone the new normal, the new baseline? Because I can attest to that's how I kind of live my life these days, right? If it's uncomfortable, that's exciting now. It's like, okay, cool. Like there's growth, there's opportunity. I'm changing. I'm literally getting better through this shitty experience.
Right.
Like when I first started coaching CrossFit, fuck, man, I was terrified. Imposter syndrome, dude, through the roof.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing. I shouldn't be here. What do I know? Right? But I had to go through that experience of feeling like a jackass and stumbling on my words, trying to explain how to fucking lift something off the ground in like really cool words. Like I had to figure out how to do that. And now it's no big deal. Now I help people get fit and change their life because I suffered through
The difficulty.
the difficulties, dude.
Exactly.
But if I never took that risk, if I never took that next step, if I never stepped outside to experience the weather, fucking, you know, got rained on, none of this would ever happen, dude.
Exactly.
So it's like, you know, I know the audience knows that, but maybe a gentle reminder to like get out of your comfort zone a couple times a week, dude. Actively do something to find discomfort so that you know you're growing. And then after that, you can give that back to somebody else. And help somebody else. And that's kind of my final thought, dude, on kind of all of this. And
No, yeah, that's perfect.
maybe we
man.
plug that Tony Robbins video because it's fucking killer.
We'll plug that link in the description because that's one of my all-time favorite videos, man.
So good.
It's so good.
It's like, I think from the 90s, the quality of the video
it's
is
old.
shoddy.
Yeah, but it's so good.
The message is good.
Yeah, and I think like just my real final thought
Real
is
final
like
final.
I'm the type of guy, right, where like if I don't leave the house because I'm scared, like I'll get struck by lightning, say. That's not a real example, but
You're not really that guy.
I'm not really that guy, but like, you know,
You could be.
Like I'm the guy where, you know, like the likelihood of a plane crashing because of turbulence is like 1 in 6 million, and I'm like, yeah, but I'll be that one, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like, you know, people who do have like that reluctance to get out of the comfort zone, it's like, what if this happens? What if that happens? What if this happens? What if that happens, right? And the thought that pushes me just to expand the limit of my comfort zone is, what if it doesn't?
Yeah.
Right? What is there to gain versus what is there to lose? And that helps me.
I bet.
Yeah, so
Because you get to see the other side of the coin.
exactly.
Yeah. What
And
if
then
I get
it's
struck by
like-
lightning?
Yeah,
What if I make it and have a great vacation?
exactly.
And like meet some really cool people on the plane and like eat beef jerky for $14 at the fucking airplane store.
Yeah, and drink the fucking ginger ale. You know, and then have to like awkwardly squeeze by people to go pee in that tiny little bathroom.
Yeah, I was gonna say go poop and
Yeah.
like you can't spread your knees and then
Oh, dude,
it's like,
and,
how
like-
do I wipe because like there's no space.
Right, and the crones, dude, on the plane. Oh man, I'll tell you right now, that's pushed me out of my comfort zone,
Yeah,
bro.
that's worse than a crying baby.
It is for those around me, yeah, and me personally, yeah, it takes a toll, you know. And that's
Takes a
how we'll
toll.
conclude. You know,
That's his real final thought is
Yeah.
if you didn't forget or
Right.
if you didn't know, he has Crohn's disease.
Yeah, dude.
And he poops weird.
yeah, and we're you know, one day there will be a cure.
There will be.
So, guys, that's our take on turning difficulties into opportunities. We hope you enjoyed the show.
Yeah.
We were going to have a special guest this week. We had to postpone a week. We had some scheduling stuff come up, but no big deal. We're going to have Sam on the episode next week. We're going to be talking about lessons that we've learned through our journeys in recovery. And I want y'all to know that these lessons apply to you whether you drink too much, do drugs, or not.
Yeah, most of it is not about drug use at all.
No, it's not about drinking or drugging at all. It's about living.
It's about living.
And so we're super excited to have Sam on the show. It's going to be awesome. He is right up our alley. So if you like us, you're going to love him.
Absolutely.
So stay tuned, and we hope you guys have a good weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And good luck reframing and regaining out there.
Yeah, go turn some difficult opportunities. Fuck.
Try again.
Yeah, we're closing thoughts here. Yeah.
Yeah.
To the audience, I hope this week you turn difficulties into opportunities and acknowledge your wins and find gratitude in the day-to-day stuff, in the minutia of life.
There it is, dude.
That sounded a lot better.
That was it.
Too bad the me fucking up still going to be in here.
Yeah, dude. Take 2 Tuesdays.
Take 2 Tuesdays, man. We got to keep going.
Yeah, and so, as always, if you guys need some help, you got some situations, you got some funny stuff, email us, bettermentbros@gmail.com. Find us on the web, www.betterment-bros.com. Find us on the gram. We're at Betterment Bros. And DM us all your shit, and we'll plug it on the air. It'll be awesome. Yeah.
Just DM us shit.
Yeah, just literally whatever you want. Just DM us, dude.
Yeah,
it's
come on
fun. That being said, you guys have a great weekend. I'm Jeremy Miller.
I'm Dallas Terrell.
Take it easy.
Take her easy.